just going to do an England Q&A, which we're answering your questions from our social media. I think just our Instagram, actually. So because it's the four Man United fans, I actually have a really good question for the four of us all to get involved with. So someone's ask your United fans on the podcast why Michael Carrick was disrespected by all the England managers. Was he actually bad, or was he just out of place in the England team? So Raheel, I know you're a Michael Carrick fan. Why don't you start with that?
Yeah, massively. And I think it just comes down to someone that's just gone under the radar. I think with England as well. I think with England over the years, they just went for the bigger names. With England, what we've seen is it's always been guaranteed starts for Lampard, Gerrard, and there's a few players, obviously a couple of players that went under the radar just because they weren't big names. And I don't think a manager had it in them to, like, every manager and every England fan could see Lampard and Gerrard just does not work together. Yeah, they'd have their moments in certain games against San Marino and Moldova, but at the big tournaments, Lampard and Gerrard just don't work together. So you really and truly, you have to drop one of them. You have to change your system. And I think that's where Carrick would have fit in well. For example, if you had Carrick playing with Gerrard, I think in the middle, you would have seen a complete different England side.
Yeah, I mean, Rahil's bang on there. I mean, let me just say that the players that started ahead of him individually are better footballers than him. But I think the fact that
I would disagree. I don't think Scott Parker and Gareth Barry deserved a call up over prime Michael Carrick for me.
100%. They don't.
100%.
Say that again.
Michael Carrick got less starts than Gareth Barry and Scott Parker, and they played in major tournaments as well. But I agree.
What the players I've got in my head is the likes of like Scholes, Gerrard, and Lampard. But the fact that what Raheel was saying, they couldn't play together. But again, I'm literally saying what Raheel just said. The managers never had the balls to be like, okay, let me drop one of these and let me put Carrick in to actually form a team rather than a group of individuals. I mean,
you know what the most disheartening things and the worst thing is you didn't even see a manager give it a go. You think, all right, you know what, it's fine, that's fine. These two are not playing together. We've got someone like Michael Carrick and even probably other players. Like you look at Joe Cole, someone who got pushed out to the left. When he was doing well, he was winning title after title at Chelsea, looked unplayable, but he brought him in out of position and played him out of position. We all knew Joe Cole was better off playing either with the striker as a 2 or just behind the striker, and he played him out left. And we see a lot of players that didn't get their chance, and you just think that, okay, if the manager still doesn't want to do it, but you know something is wrong, so why not just try? And it confuses me so much why Eriksen and Capello especially didn't try looking at alternatives.
You'd think Capello would have changed the system after the whole Steve McLaren era as well, when they got knocked out before the European Championship.
I'm not going to mention McLaren.
Oh my God.
Considering he was assistant manager to the greatest Manchester United team ever, I'm baffled how that guy did what he did at England.
Ridiculous. I still can't forgive him for that whole David Bentley thing. Sorry, Vish, go ahead.
I think Arif mentioned it perfectly. He goes, England have this difficulty, and I still think they have this difficulty now. They've got a really good, bunch of talented players.
We've always had that.
They don't know how to play together. That's the problem. They don't know how to play together. It's just talented individuals thrown in together. Here's 11. Let's go win a game. And then you get all excited when you beat San Marino, who
I think half of
the team are bloody doctors from a Monday to Friday job. You know what I mean? And this has been the problem for England for the last 10
I think I agree with Vish, but the worst thing for England is as well, even when they do look like they get to a major tournament and they're playing decent football together, it's always a case of them just not being able to go that one step further. They look against, I'll be honest with you, I just think the England performance of the last World Cup has been massively overhyped and overrated, in my opinion anyway.
100%.
Really and truly, you put it on paper and look who they played. Every team they played, they should have beaten, except for Belgium. They lost to them twice. But
the reason it was overhyped,
Belgium, they should have beaten every single team that they faced, and obviously, I still think Croatia they should have beat as well.
The reason why it was overhyped is based on our performance in the last few tournaments. Is that you could actually see we've had a massive improvement. The players actually wanted to play.
I don't think it is though.
The players wanted they look like they wanted to play with each other, even off the pitch. They look like mates. I don't think we've ever had that in previous tournaments. That's why it was overhyped. You're right. We should have beat Croatia as well on paper.
Because their biggest test now is going to be in the Euros, because
Yeah, it's future.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but if regardless of whether they finish first or second in their group, they're going to be facing either one out of France, Portugal, and Germany. Is it?
Yeah,
they're going to be facing one of them, and that's in obviously the round after the group stage. So it's going to be a massive test, and it's not going to be an easy route. And I think that's when you will see that they all look good together when they're playing now, and they all look like they're getting on. But I think that's when you're going to be able to separate the men from the boys and see actually who is good enough and who has the character to take this England team forward when they get challenged in the big games, in the big tournaments. Because let's be honest, that's when all big players are judged. Like you look at Neymar now, he's one of them players. Why doesn't he get the recognition for how he plays with Brazil? Because when it comes to the big moments, or apart from the Olympics, but at the World Cup, when it comes to the big moment, obviously he didn't do well. Fair enough, he missed the Germany game when they lost, but the Belgium one, in the last World Cup, it was his time to step up, and he was missing, and that's what big players judge on. I think when you look at someone like Mbappe, who's just started his career, I think that's why he gets so much recognition, and I give it to him as well, because to be the standout performer and to win a World Cup, beating big teams as well, at the age of 19 is crazy, man. And I think that's what England are missing. But you never know. Let's see what happens in the Euros. Good preparation for the World Cup.
Yeah, because at the time we're recording, it's before the Poland game, and out of the 3 internationals we've had, they're obviously the toughest test that we have at the moment. So the likes of Lewandowski, Milik, Piatek as well, we actually see how our defense can cope, because obviously Albania and San Marino, like Vish said, they're not the toughest of tests for an England team that we have. We have a lot of captains in our team as well, like Grealish and Maguire and Kane, and people that are leaders for their team. But if they can actually bring their mentality to the England team and be a bunch of men, really, that would be brilliant to see how far we can go and how far we can play. But yeah, that was what I would say on that. Next question.
So much exciting talent, though. It's exciting, man. I mean, it's exciting, man. I'm looking forward to it.
That brings me to our next question, Arif. So someone said, what's your best England front 3 or 4? So Vish, start us off with your best front 3 or 4. Or anyone, if Vish is still thinking.
I'll go with I'll choose 2 first. I've got Harry Kane for obvious reasons. He's just a natural goal scorer. Scores goals for fun. And obviously goals win you matches, don't they?
And his assist this season.
100%. Then I've got Raheem Sterling in mind. He's a really, I think in the England shirt, I think, was it 2018 or 16, where he got a lot of abuse because, he's
in the Euros.
Yeah, it was one of them, and he's just grown so much, and Pep has made him into a top player. So that's my other one.
He's a world-class player. Let's not be around the bush.
I'd say he's undroppable for England at the moment.
100%.
Undroppable for me. Sorry,
the other 2, I'm not too sure. I think I'll have to come back. I have to have a think. Probably Arif or Raheel. If you.
What are we saying? Front 3.
Front 3 or 4, however you want to do it.
I'm going to go with the front 3. I think Kane and Sterling. It's a given. Kane for me is the best number 9 in the world, and Raheem Sterling is I would say he's not even argue, he's our best winger that we have. For me, the difficulty that I had was between either having Grealish or Marcus Rashford. The reason being is Marcus Rashford, I don't think he's had a great season, and I think injuries have hindered him for that. If he's not at full, I don't think he's been as good as he should have been.
I disagree big time.
It's okay. We'll carry on talking about this after, but if he's not fully fit, I think Grealish gets a nod. If he is fully fit, then I think Rashford gets the nod.
Why do you disagree, Raheel?
All right, so I'll go with, plain and simple, I'll go with Marcus Rashford on the left, Harry Kane up front, Raheem Sterling on the right. And the reason why I disagree that Marcus Rashford hasn't been having his best season is because he's on course to break his best season tally at Manchester United. Now, this guy, you look at him, okay, we all know he's been inconsistent. But if you remember correctly, we played Liverpool, I think it was 2-3 seasons ago. It was a 0-0 draw at Old Trafford. And he stayed on the pitch being injured because I think 1 or 2 players went off injured already. Since then, he has not been given the treatment he needs to be given.
I was at that game. He should have come off, but we had, like you said, 2-3 injuries in half an hour.
He still hasn't. Since then, he needed shoulder surgery. He still has not had the chance to have that. So for the past 2 seasons, this guy's been playing with consistent injuries. He's been having to be pumped with injections before he's playing. Obviously, he got called up to the squad by Southgate. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of times in games where he should, regardless of what condition he's in, he should literally put the ball in the back of the net. But he's a young player, and obviously that'll just come with age, and he's at the perfect club to develop. But yeah, I don't think he's been having a bad season. I think him and Bruno pretty much have carried us. You take his goals, even last season, before Bruno even came in, it was Marcus Rashford that was carrying Manchester United Football Club. So I massively disagree with him not having a good season, because I think if this guy's not even 100% and he's putting in these performances and he's pretty much won some games single-handedly for us this season. You look at the PSG game, you look at the Leipzig game coming off the bench. Obviously, our Champions League campaign ended, but you look at this guy, he was the one who pretty much kept us in it, if you think about it. And same with the league. You look at his goals tally, and he's on course to break his own personal record.
See, as a United fan, I'm being selfish, man. I don't want Rashford to go. As you said, he's been injured for like 2 years, and
that's the reason I said if he's fully fit, then he can go. If not, he needs to stay home, man.
It's the exact same with Beckham in 2002, the same with Rooney in 2006, and 2004 when he got injured as well, but he was injured before.
Some news from Sky Sports just come in. They got
Rashford will definitely go.
Aguero's leaving at the end of the season.
Ooh.
Oh, that's mad.
Yeah, Sky Sports.
That's crazy. Does that mean they're going to get a new striker, or they're going to continue with a false nine?
They're going to have a statue of him outside as well.
They're going to have a fucking statue of everyone City.
Company deserve one, but he's still not got one as well. But
yeah, no, I think Company definitely deserves one, man.
Of all the Man City legends, it's got to be Company and Aguero. One of the two at least.
That's how mad it is. You look at Manchester United, who are down the road from City. We haven't got the only statue we've got plays is the Trinity. Apart from that, you look Giggs, Scholes, Rooney, Ronaldo, Cantona, Beck, vested in that one. But you look at so many players and they haven't got it. But that's what just makes me think that's the difference between the clubs. Obviously, if you look at it overall, yeah, that's another conversation.
We're very lucky, man.
Just stay on England.
Yeah, but it was just one of those things that I kind of agree that I wouldn't want to see Rashford just detriment his future by getting injured. And we saw the player Wayne Rooney was before he got injured at 2006 and then being forced to play and being forced to travel to England as well. So he was a completely different player. He wasn't that buzzing, exciting player as much as we saw him. Obviously improved and he scored goals and assists, but it's just you kind of lose something when you're kind of forced to play with an injury. And I hope Marcus Rashford doesn't go through that as well. That being said, my front four would be something like Sterling on the right, Kane in the middle. I'd go for Grealish on the left and probably Mount behind him. I'm a big fan of Jadon Sancho as the
Mount definitely has to go. I think Mount definitely has to start as well. I think
Mount has to start for me. I think it's been quality.
I wasn't that much of a Mount fan before, but his performances of late is just
but see, obviously, how I mentioned my three was obviously Rashford, Kane, Sterling. I'll put Grealish behind them
as a number 10.
Why? Yeah, and 100%, he's the best number 10 England's got.
It's just one of those things that
you're picking Grealish over Mount as a number 10, but I think with Mount is better, I'd say, as in tracking back and winning the ball back, and that's why potentially he could play as a middle two with Rice. But then we all know Southgate's going to start Henderson.
That's
why I've got no hope. I'm honestly, hands down, I've got no hope England are winning any Euros.
Henderson cannot get into that team. Like, he just cannot get into
that team. Really and truly, if Henderson was to back himself up, he's got a point to start for England in the Euros, let's be honest. Has he or has he not got a point? Because let's be honest now, Southgate picks his players on how they perform for their club. Yes or no? That's how he picks them. We've seen in the last World Cup as well. And that's why he will pick Henderson, because he will think Liverpool will hit with a hard season. This is the guy who went into centre-back. I'm not a massive fan of him, but let's be honest, Liverpool fans adore him. Why? Because he's got the job done for them. He's won a Champions League, he's won a Premier League. He's pretty much carried them this season in terms of going into a makeshift centre-back and still doing a decent job. And I think that's why he's going to start as well. Personally, I wouldn't start him, but I understand why Southgate wouldn't.
We've got so much more exciting players than that.
Hasn't he got a massive injury? Isn't he supposed to be out for a while though?
Well, they're saying towards the end of the season, but they'll have to see how he plays out.
I just think I mean, if he's just coming back from a major injury, why would you even why would you even take him? You know,
Southgate should know the fact that it doesn't always work well when you force someone back from injury straight away into a squad in the Euros. You barely get a game. You have little time to get back into full fitness and full speed and full sharpness. But we'll see how that goes for Henderson and England going forward. I know you lot are short on time, Arif and Rahil, so I'll leave you two with this one. If you can name your top 3 past England players. So Arif, we'll start with you. Just players who have previously played for England, and then Rahil, you can do it. And then I know you both have to go sometime soon.
If we're going on when they've both been at their best form, I'm going to go best form club and country. All right. So the reason I'm saying that is because Rooney, I want to put Rooney in there.
Now you have to pick on just for country purposes, not for how they play for the club that defeats the purpose. I'm still gonna put Rooney in there.
I'm still gonna put Rooney in there. I mean, look, what? He's the highest goal scorer. Owen, and I'm going with Gascoigne.
Did you watch Gascoigne?
No, I've never watched Gascoigne, but I've watched him as in highlights and things like that.
No, that's the thing. Like, I think we've had this conversation previous times. The fact that when you hear other people talk about players previously, Paul Gascoigne is one that comes up all the time when there's a tournament for England as well. The fact that he's had that whole 1990 and 96 tournament, it's ridiculous how much he's done for them.
We've all watched Gascoigne, even though we haven't watched him live. I'm sure you've seen the kind of things that he did with the ball and the things that people used to say about him. And when you watch him play, he probably was the most talented player for England ever, based on what he used to do with the football. So that's why he's in there.
Go on, Rahil. What have you got for us?
I'm going to say Rooney, Gaza, and I'll be honest with you, I can't really think of a third.
Owen in his prime.
I'd probably put Shearer ahead of him.
So Bobby Moore, maybe Peter Shilton.
Okay, we can talk about players like that. Like, obviously, I told him I'll just be biased and I'll pick Charlton.
Ballon d'Or Michael Owen was like unstoppable, man. Until he got
that was for like 1 year, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but still, like he was.
Michael Owen was at his best. Michael Owen was at his best on Eid Day 2010 at Old Trafford.
That was the best Eid Day ever. Oh my!
That was Eid Day.
That's Michael Owen was at his
in the air, bro.
That's the only Michael Owen we know. Premier League winner with Manchester United, mate.
Liverpool fans must have been burning with that. I can't imagine how they were feeling.
I remember finishing.
I'm still baffled how Fergie got this geezer to come to Manchester.
I can't believe that. I don't know how that happened.
What was it? He was at Newcastle before and he left on a free for Man United.
Yeah.
I remember I was in school.
Effect, man.
I had an exam in year 10 and then I heard the sign, Michael Owen's going to Man United. Ha ha ha, very funny. I go back home and see it on TV. This is ridiculous. And like Arif just said, best Eid day ever when you're literally just there in the sunshine.
Oh, man.
I was at my grandparents in the West Midlands and I was just there like, I don't want to take pictures. I just want to go back in the game. And it was 3-2, I think. And then I walked in when Bellamy
scored that goal, yeah.
And you're just like, what a waste of a day. And then Owen just comes.
You know what the maddest thing is? The maddest thing is that we just sold Cristiano Ronaldo, the best footballer in the world, to Real Madrid. Ferguson's gone and he's got Michael Owen and he's doing in the number 7 shirt. And we lost the league on goal difference, I think, or 1 point to Chelsea. That's what's mad. Fergie's just a machine.
It was 1 point that year. I think we lost it a couple of days before.
I don't know how he used to do the things he used to do. When you think about it now, the teams that he had, the players that he had, what he'd done, you see football now. I think, how did this guy manage to pull this off? Pull what he did off?
The thing is,
25 years of.
I think he's the only manager in that era that could have managed England and won the World Cup.
I was just going to throw that in. But he would never have done it being a Scotsman as well.
Yeah, but if he took control of them when they had Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes, Rooney, all of them at their peak, I think we would have won the World Cup.
Ferdinand, Campbell, Terry, centre-backs. Yep. Ashley Cole, the best left-back in world football at the time as well.
Oh, yeah.
Can't forget about him. But yeah, it was one of those things where Sir Alex Ferguson did that whole thing of taking players out of international fixtures and stuff during the season. Now, all the managers do it. He was ahead of his time with that with England as well. He didn't want to risk anyone getting injured in October when it comes up to like the Champions League group stage and Christmas period.
Yeah, because there's so many meaningless games in internationals. That's why I think they bought the Nations League. Because a lot of their games are freaking meaningless. There's no point of players going there.
Yeah, but the funniest thing is that they've introduced the Nations League, but they've still got the bloody same games from before. Like, if you think international break, just put on some entertaining games. They'll pull like bloody England versus flipping Austria. Like, nobody needs to watch that.
It's true. And now in this international break, they've got 3 games as well instead of 2. That will be like a Saturday and a Wednesday. It's just like spread across the 3 days, which is
good. Yeah, good job is we're playing on the Sunday, and we haven't really got any players that have gone.
Yeah, it's true. Rashford pulled out as well, but I think
I'm glad he pulled out, man.
All we've got is Maguire there.
For good news, Martial's injured. He got injured. He got taken off.
Well, I never like to say good news. I never like to say good news to.
I don't really want to say good news to a player getting injured, but yeah.
I see where you're coming from, Vish, with that. He may not play against Brighton on Sunday as well, but that's all well and good.